Hello and welcome back, fellow disc golf enthusiasts from around the world. This is coverage of the European Disc Golf Championships 2023 at the Song Festival grounds, disc golf course designed by the very own Seppo Paju. A really incredible and prestigious moment for the best players in Europe to represent their country and compete at the biggest scale. This is Round 1 Front 9 feature card coverage brought to you by MDG Media. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Elias Luukkonen.
What is up, guys? What is up, Connor? What is up, viewers? Very exciting tournament here as we're taking a look at the players. Joey O'Brien from the United Kingdom. Rare sighting from the UK. Not a lot of players from there, but he's one of the best out of that country and looking to make a stand for his country in this prestigious event.
And to no one's surprise, joining him on the lead card, Niklas Anttila, your reigning defending champion. Niklas has been on an incredible performance this year and is really showing an incredible season so far.
And next up, from Czech Republic, one of the most exciting players in Europe, Jakub Semerád, has been driving the disc incredible throughout the whole season, and it's all about that putting for him. If he gets that putter going, he's gonna be shooting hot for sure on any course.
And rounding out our feature card here, the local legend Mauri Villmann in his home country of Estonia, representing another player who has just had incredible performances, often consecutively and sequentially, and has really looked dominant this season on many grand occasions. Another one here for him now. What do we have on hole 1, Elias?
Hole 1. What an epic starting hole. From the huge audience behind the tee there, you're throwing way downhill into this wide area. The fairway is going to the left of where the drone is flying, and there's OB right. You need to get all the way around this field of grass. The OB is making for a dogleg from left to right shape. If you miss the OB off the tee, you have to go to the drop zone. Perfect drive is pretty much a big hyzer with something pretty overstable if you want to keep your disc as safe as possible. And the approach usually leaves you with about 110 meters, but way uphill, playing closer to 140.
First up, from Newcastle upon Tyne, Great Britain, Joe O'Brien.
We see Joe coming out first here. His debut on MDG Media. Excited to learn more about both his strategy and as well as his skill set.
Next up, from Kuopio, Finland, Niklas Anttila.
And as you guys noticed, the European Championships have a unique way of introducing the players, each player walking out of the stadium.
From Semerád, Czech Republic, Jakub Semerád.
Also with one of the volunteers giving the players bags to them respectively. Really gives up some great feels for the round.
Estonia, Mauri Villmann.
But Jakub not getting his bag just yet. Listen to the applause from Mauri. Some great ceremony and theatrics here in the amphitheater to get us started and to set the stage for this event.
So you guys have UDisc score with you, so everyone else is doing PDJ. Round 1, MPO, 11:50 a.m. and it's time for the feature card. First up on the tee, representing Great Britain, Joe O'Brien.
Joey here, going with the left hand. Pretty favorable hole for the left hand, at least for the drive, as you're flying over the fairway for the majority of the flight. And that is a good drive. Not huge distance, but in good position there.
Representing Finland, Niklas Anttila.
Niklas coming into this tournament as your reigning defending European champion. great opportunity for him to solidify that title, as we see a good forwards pushing drive and reliable fade, even actually getting a huge skip. You see that well-manicured grass offering a lot of ground play and just not keeping it wide enough, finds OB left.
Jakub Semerád.
It looks like Niklas might have even hit one of those paths, those asphalt paths crossing the fairway. That's a bad break for him. And from the drop zone where he has to proceed to, it's almost an impossible par. As we see Jakub here with a nice overstable low shot perfectly to the middle. That's in great birdie position here.
And for the team, representing Estonia, 2023 Estonia champion, Mauri Villmann.
And I think we have to give a huge shout out to the tournament organizers for putting this whole course in place in just 2 days. I believe on Saturday night, or no, excuse me, Sunday night, there was still a concert in this very place, or might have actually even been Monday night. So just in 48 hours or so, tournament organizers making a great course. And Mauri there, nice drive.
And Niklas, as you mentioned, pretty much out of play from par there, able to play the placement shot and look to keep it in bounds. Bearing to that left side. That's an incredible transition, Elias, in such a limited time frame, and so fortunate that we can be performing and playing at a grand venue like this. Really putting disc golf on the map nationally as well as continentally here in Europe. A huge event that everyone loves to tune in for. We see Joe pushing over the out of bounds but not crossing on the far side. Having played to the left side fairway and a little bit shorter, had a big distance to carry and looked to be just shy. We see Jakub now looking to put himself on the green from a great spot off the drive. We see a beautiful approach as well. Jakub Semerád in the circle to try and hunt that early birdie.
Very nice approach, and he's below the basket there, which is going to cause for a little bit of a safer putt compared to if you're going from above the basket. And Mauri here getting inside the bullseye. What an incredible start. That is what you want on this one. Even though the ground is relatively flat, it is very flat in a way. There's no bumps, but it's very sloped, and even some short putts that are missed might roll away all the way to that low side OB.
Joe with a great recovery there in quite a crucial moment, although still very early on. Great scramble from him, and we see Niklas here getting himself into the green just to bullseye's edge. Going back briefly to Mauri's execution here, you know, coming in with the pressure in the crowd and all the eyes. Very solid putt by Jakub there. I think Mauri's greatest quality as a player is sustaining that pressure and really transforming it into solid performances. He seems to be great in the spotlight.
Yeah, I very much agree. And Mauri coming from straight 2 wins. He won the Estonian Championship. After that, won the Alutagusa Open. So playing very hot after having a slower mid-season. But he's right back on track, especially with that birdie start. As already on hole 1 we see some good scoring separation between the card mates. We're moving on to a much more technical hole. This is something you're gonna see a lot on this course. Hole 2, only 93 meters, but the gap you have to hit is very tight. Best shot for this hole is perfectly straight, with maybe just the slightest left finish at the end. Players can really choose whether they want to go for a fairway driver, slowly thrown fairway driver, a mid-range, or even some players going for a putter here. It's really all about what is your most comfortable shot, what's your most comfortable power going straight for 90 meters.
We have Jakub getting us started here. Very much a natural flex player. Will shape that if he can, and we see exactly that. The good use of the overstable disc on a soft Anheuser release, and he just kisses off that tree slides right on up.
Yeah, super good shot there. Mauri here kind of cutting through the right side. This is challenging the right side OB, but nice kick there. OB is right next to that right side fence, actually coming a meter off the fence. So if you hit the fence, you might still not be in bounds. So that was a very fortunate break from Mauri.
We have Joe playing the left-handed backhand, a little bit more dense over there. He does not quite battle through, having turned it over a bit much, I think. Definitely enough progress to get a jump putt up there, though. We have Niklas now looking to bounce back after his bogey on hole 1. And I feel like this hole, pretty well designed for Niklas's game, has great angle control, even with those super low-speed discs, has a fantastic touch, and you see that on display there.
Yeah, Niklas coming from the forests of Kuopio in the eastern parts of Finland. Used to playing a lot of wooded courses. Must feel pretty familiar here. As we see a nice approach from Joe there. Gonna get a par on this hole too. Which obviously a very birdieable hole, but anything can happen here.
Just there, Mauri looking to connect on his birdie. Catches pretty strong side chains, but unable to stick it. And Niklas inversely to the weak side on the left and does not settle. We see Jakub now with a chance. And just like that, he fires his way into the pole, going 2 down through 2 for our Czech player here. Both Joe, Niklas, Mauri, all of them tapping in their pars. Jakub snags a stroke here.
Super nice start from Jakub there. But that's kind of what you want to do at the start of this round. Really, I would say the first 6 holes are the holes that you want to score on. After hole 1, there's 5 of these pretty short holes. Very scoreable, especially very birdieable. And we're gonna have one more of these on hole 3. Once again, only 90 meters. Another very short hole. Favors a right-hand forehand. And I believe Joe gonna have a good advantage with that left-hand backhand, as the fairway is sloping slightly right to left the whole entire way. And the biggest gap is on the left side of the basket, playing ideally for a flat to overstable forehand. And we have a couple of backhand players on the card as far as Jakub and Niklas, but Jakub actually going for a forehand. Pretty surprising.
Jakub has been known to bring it out when he needs to. We see it well executed there, maybe not pushing the width of the fairway out to the left before fading as much as he would like, but fortunate to get through and underneath that tree, no worries. We see Mauri here, a more comfortable forehand player, leans on it more often, and a great kick there, finding the tree, but at an angle that he still continues forwards and in fact finds himself in the bullseye. That was a significant distance separator in terms of what he had left on the putt, so a good break for Mauri.
And Joey, unfortunately, just pushing the low ceiling. Not the lowest of ceilings on this hole, but that's another theme that's gonna go on throughout the entire course. Niklas there, making sure to keep it low, and he's right on the edge of the circle there. On this pretty simple hole. Connor, what's the scoring average here? It must be one of the easiest holes on the course.
It's a great question. It absolutely was, sitting at 2.64, playing a third of a stroke, effectively under par. We had 45% of the field birdie it here in round 1. Almost half of the players, as we see a good recovery from Joe there. And this one also had predominantly pars, if not birdies. Bogey was very rarely coming into play, if at all. And you can see why. Quite a friendly hole, and a great putt there for Niklas. Able to secure himself his birdie and get back to even here on hole 3. Now carrying the momentum to continue under par.
Yep, Niklas for sure very happy with that birdie. Able to clear off that weak start of holes 1 and 2 for him. As Jakub not quite committing to that straight line, just push it out left side. And Joey here with good par save. Not exactly a hole you want to save your par on, but that's the best he could do. And I wonder if Joe is nervous at all. You know, it's a big stage, playing with a lot of big players. You know, it's European Championships, that's the biggest title we have, and that's played only every 2 years. So even possibly contributing to some more nerves on the card. And we're continuing the stretch of these short par 3s on hole 4. This time 96 meters, we're going straight along this road and just tailing off a little bit at the end. I would expect most players to be throwing something straight to pretty overstable at the end. Possibly a mid-range, even an approach disc, maybe that harp from Jakub. There's OB long though, so that's something to keep in mind, and it's actually playing very short. 96 meters might seem even longer than what it seems, or what it plays in reality.
As we see Mauri playing the wide hyzer and coming back in time, able to sneak himself once again into the circle and looks to be just outside bullseye. Great throw to get us started here. He was really pushing the width though, taking on the early risk of the trees on the right. I think not a completely comfortable flight, but definitely made it work. And for Niklas here, hitting the initial gap more cleanly, however not having it flip up to flat for long enough, although also finds himself with an open putt. This is another hole averaging almost an identical score to hole 3, with 43% of the field finding the birdie. So, although it's not without its dangers, it's definitely an attackable one. And Jakub there with a great hyzer through everything.
That's 3 really good clean shots. And we're gonna see a forehand from Joey. Possibly the forehand a little bit trickier here, as you have that early mount that you have to get over. As unfortunately Joey just hits that. I can assure you guys I have not seen this coverage before, but that mount is just so much in the way for the forehand, as it has a lower release compared to the backhand, which is released a little bit higher from the chest. And this is now actually a pretty tricky approach. He needs to watch out for the trees and the backside OB. Joey's gonna have that circle 2 look for the par.
And he's been great on the scramble so far. This one looking to be more difficult than the previous ones now. That long putt for par. We'll be looking at a bogey here on hole 4. And Niklas now, an opportunity to get 2 in a row.
Very solid stroke there. And Niklas admittedly had some putting struggles in the Finnish Nationals, which he was able to win just 2 weeks ago. He made a pretty lengthy post on Instagram about how he wasn't exactly feeling confident on the green, but now he's looking pretty comfortable, at least on the last 2 putts there.
Definitely looking like a traditional Anttila stroke we see from Jakub there. His 3rd birdie in 4 holes, able to keep it clean so far as well. He's setting quite a good pace here. And Mauri just matching him. Both of those guys really putting on a solid show so far. And as you mentioned, the first 6 holes playing quite friendly, definitely room to attack and get your round started. And then as the holes get increasingly more difficult, you can try to manage that risk. But I think early on, it's full power ahead.
Yeah, for sure. We're moving on to the second par 4 of the course. Hole 5 is playing at 201 meters. It has that OB line all the way on the left side. That's the most difficult feature of the hole. The drive plays as a straight shot. Most players either throwing slightly understable distance driver or slightly understable fairway driver, trying to push as far straight as possible to avoid fading to that left side OB. And from a perfect drive, you're left with a pretty routine approach. Just a couple of trees to miss, a bit of a low ceiling in the last 20 meters of the hole. This is another one of these holes that these guys would really like to birdie, especially today, since there was a nice tailwind on this one, allowing these players to push the drive even a little bit further than normal.
And we see it ripping there as Mauri gets a good drive out, finding that gap between the trunks, but some good enough progress for sure and a nice shape, keeping himself safe. Very nicely done and really risk-free distance for him right there. Great use of the stability. Niklas here getting this one out of the hand, slightly flatter and having just enough height to crest that structure center fairway. He kisses the same tree that Mauri does, both of them in pretty solid spots. Exactly where you want to be to attack for the birdie.
Yep, both of them not getting huge distance, but that is absolutely not what you need on this one. You just need to be inbounds. As Jakub going for a very aggressive flex play, and that has cost him at least one extra stroke as he has gone out OB very early. That looked like just a bit of an early release there.
And Joe here for a hole that has danger to the left side, his backhand fading right actually finds the ricochet he needs there to keep himself safe and inbounds. Surprised to see him push that left side so much, but definitely not the line I'm sure he intended. And from here we see an awkward position. He straddles out though and hits the flex forehand right to center fairway. It's a great ground play to boot and solid recovery. He's been putting himself in some tough positions off the tee, but always able to scramble something and manufacture a chance.
And this is going to be interesting to see how aggressive Jakub goes for it. He has the opportunity to even reach the green here with a nice low-driven driver shot. Looks like he's going for it. Pushing the right side OB, but he's inside the circle there for the par. What a nice shot after a pretty disastrous drive.
Yeah, great management of that late low ceiling to access the green. You saw him really nail that height. Niklas here fighting his way up cleanly as well into the circle. Has been looking really solid on those forehands in recent tournaments, especially the Finnish Nationals not too long ago. And Mauri here, another very comfortable forehand player. Looking to push the center gap on a soft fighting hyzer, and he sits it down in time. No danger of that OB and a great speed control.
Yep, very nice there. Both Niklas and Mauri making this hole as easy as you would expect the feature card to make it look like. And Joe there also with a good par save. Let's see if Jakub can have one of those for himself. Not quite. An unfortunate miss, already the second miss from inside the circle here.
And Niklas there with his thoughtful delivery on that short putt. Not leaving anything to chance as he's put together now 3 in a row. Looks to be a little frustrated by the body language, but really beginning to put it together now. Very nicely done, and Mauri here for his birdie.
Nicely done there. Mauri with even a better start at 4 under through 5. Really giving himself the opportunity to shoot possibly one of the hotter rounds of the day. There was a lot of speculation about how difficult the course might be playing in the tournament. And most of the people thought that somewhere even near double digits, you know, that 7, 8, possibly even 9 under could be a great round. As we're moving on to hole number 6. The shortest hole we've had so far, this time only at 72 meters. Playing even slightly downhill. It's a perfectly straight shot, but what makes this hole tricky is the OB. If you kick any tree, kick either left or right, you might find yourself in some of those sideline OBs. or if you're gliding too far past the basket, the OB behind is only about 6 meters away. So you need a lot of angle and speed control here not to find that OB.
As we see Mauri playing the width there, has a great nose angle and keeps it clean. Very solid angle control with that nose down touch. It can often make your discs flip slightly more with that more neutral flat release. He's controlled that very nicely. Niklas looking to shape the backhand through here.
What a nice looking shot. Needs to slow down though.
Wow.
As he's only a meter from the backside OB. Very nice sit there with that lush, thick grass on the green. Let's see if Joe can hit this fairway. It looks like he can. And a nice tree kick. He was about to turn towards the left side OB. But instead now he's gonna have a short circle 2 look for the birdie. There was actually a headwind today, so possibly contributing to that disc flipping over more than expected.
And Jakub finding some more trouble here on 6 after his OB early on hole 5. Unfortunately, he has repeated that. Going OB left off the tree kick. This is a very long look for par, but with OB so close behind it, you really can't give that an honest bid, and you see him doing what he needs to do there. He will be looking at a tap-in bogey. Happens so quick here.
And that's a nice run from Joe. Almost able to get his first birdie. Let's see Mauri. Absolutely solid on the green. He has that low release spin putt, really good in the wind. Although today was one of the calmer days we'll possibly have in the tournament. Really not a lot of wind, and this was actually one of the rare holes where the wind did play a significant role in how the discs were flying, as there was a pretty decent headwind.
As we see both Niklas and Mauri continue their birdie streaks from holes 3 now all the way to 6, securing that great start as we now begin to move towards some of the more difficult holes. We see Jakub here on a little bit of a downslide now after finding early birdies, has connected 2 bogeys in a row, still under par, but we'll see if he can keep his head up and try to recapture that early birdie feeling.
And you're absolutely right talking about the more difficult holes. First one of them here on hole 7. It's a short par 4, only 186 meters, but there's an incredibly low ceiling off the tee, not really allowing players to get a lot of distance, especially with this uphill grade towards the sweet spot. Perfect drive lands about here, and from there, even from the perfect drive, you have a tricky low ceiling approach to this island green that is on the backside only about 4 meters from the basket. And even on the front side, you don't have much more than the circle to work with as far as inbounds area. It's just a really tricky par 4 to birdie. Relatively easy to par. If you just hit the gap off the tee, you can play it safe towards the far side of the main fairway and get your easy par.
Mauri with potentially a fortunate kick off that one, having it really turning aggressively and quickly, but doesn't get too much distance, is able to have kind of a stress-free layup opportunity to try and play for par now, as you mentioned, Elias, having a drive like that, really removing birdie from play. And Niklas puring this line and getting a buttery smooth slide at the end for good measure. You see that low ceiling come into play, not able to fire too far on that upslope, but a very nice line and a great execution.
Niklas still might be just barely short of that ideal driving position, and he's gonna have a decision to make if he wants to go for the green or not on his second. And Joey there, or Joe, excuse me, going pretty short off the tee, that low ceiling really limiting the left-handed distance potential on this hole.
We see some frustration from Jakub there, stepping straight off the tee after his release, keeps it very low, and on a Anheuser really just burnt that one. Mauri here looking to position himself to try and cross to the green.
Yep, and that's a pretty nice shot. He might be just a little bit short of that ideal layup position, but should have no trouble getting to the green from there. And Joe also, nice position, still a little bit short of that ideal. There's a nice bit of a widening on the fairway in that layup area, so you can actually fade it a little bit left behind those last trees and still be in bounds. But looks like all three of our first second shot throwers have played it very safe. And Niklas going for the green now. Very tough shot, needs a lot of good distance control. And he's just barely safe. What a nice break to stop before that OB line.
Great use of the standstill backhand there. Really reducing the variables coming into that throw and having a great safe flight. Mauri able to do the same. He will be tapping in for his par, which is an absolutely fine score here. Hole 7 on day 1, averaging 4.84. Almost an entire stroke over its given par, despite its short distance. And a great approach from Joe there as well, giving himself just a tap in. Solid stuff. Jakub here looking to cross with the jump putt. Definitely has the power on his putt to do so, and just like that.
That's some pretty smart play from our feature card. Everybody knowing that. Besides Niklas, they're not in great position to go for it. And Niklas utilizing that standstill backhand. He might have been a little bit scared when he let that approach go, because it probably looked like he was going towards that right side OB. But good stick there, and Niklas gonna pick a stroke on the entire card. And also, as you mentioned, the scoring average. The majority of the field. How many birdies were there on this one?
Only 9% of the field. Very few people were actually able to find it. And you see Niklas joining that percentage. It was a total of 8 people.
Wow, so very low birdie percentage. And Niklas gonna be very happy with that birdie. And talking about happy birdies, this would definitely be one of them, as it is one of the most treacherous, risky holes on the course. You saw that Mando tree we just flew over, or around. Have to go straight for the entire way. There is no other shot than just a straight tunnel shot. It's playing slightly downhill, so this 105 meters playing closer to 90. And what really makes this hole tricky is that any tree kick is highly likely to end up OB either on the right or the left side of the fairway. OB is only about 5 meters right and left side of the tunnel.
We have Niklas with a great use of the understability. Had it hyzer on the left, flipping up to flat the whole way through and almost making it to that late final gap of the last trees. It's about the second or third to last one, leaving him a long putt. Mauri there getting it also slightly turned over during the flight, hugging that right side, does settle on the walking path. I think just a jump putt approach from there. Joe still looking to get his first birdie of the round.
And that's a nice angle, perfectly down the middle. Joe has thrown an absolute gem. Just a little bit short there, but circle 2 on this hole. I feel like almost every player in the field would be happy with a circle 2 hit here. And Jakub, actually a very fortunate break. He has hit the Mando tree and still stayed in bounds. You can see he's right next to that drop zone for the Mando. So still a possible par save. Needs some good distance and angle control, as he has got the worst case scenario of that tree kick. Jakub has kicked left side OB. Gonna be putting for a bogey from there.
See from Mauri what looked to even be a half bid from him. Had the height to indicate from that distance at least maybe he wanted to give it some sort of floaty chance, and Joe there laying up. Happy to take the safe 3 here. Niklas with his chance at the 2 and so close but unable to translate that opportunity there. Wow. Very solid bogey save from Jakub after going OB. Circle's edge. very nonchalant on the green when they're going in or when he's missing. He seems to have sort of the same attitude on his routine and release, and he's here to play despite his struggles now in the last few holes. Mauri there with the easy par.
Yep, an all-round pretty clean play from our feature card. We're only gonna have that one bogey from Jakub, which is definitely better on average on this one. What was the average score on this one, Connor? Was it closer to 4 than 3?
It was. It absolutely was. 3.6, even less birdies. One player less than birdies found on hole 7. Hole 8 played as harder, although not in strokes, harder to birdie.
Yeah, that's incredibly difficult. And hole 9 here, we're gonna have a bit of a break from those very difficult holes, as hole 9 is a pretty simple hole. You need to either throw a very low skipping hyzer, hopefully find your way into this elevated basket, or, well, not into the basket, but around the basket, or players also have a choice of going for a higher, more stalling hyzer, as Niklas is kind of going for in the between. But a great looking line, and he's right there, just 5 meters away. Definitely one of the easier shots on the course, but good to execute there with a perfect angle.
And Mauri now, still sitting 1 stroke ahead of Niklas. Also keeping that nice and wide and crashing into the green. Does settle in time there before the banners, finds himself in the circle. And Joe, a slightly harder line for the left-handed player. We'll see how he chooses to navigate this.
Going for that low turnover. Just incredibly difficult with that low ceiling. And he's gonna be in good par position, although pretty much out of the play for the birdie. As Jakub is throwing a nice line here. Needs to get left though. And he has ended up slightly on the right side of the basket there. That yellowish grass is actually not OB, so Jakub is going to be on the edge of the circle for birdie there.
Easy work for Joe's par there. Able to hit the pedestal and have it sit. This is Mauri for birdie. And very nice, is able to find that one. You saw he was a little bit unsure if it would stick from the release, but finds its way in and settles at the bottom. We see Jakub from just a step closer than Mauri now. This is quite a pivotal moment in his round, sitting at even. 3 birdies, 3 bogeys, make that 4 birdies now. Able to get himself back to under par going into the back 9.
Not the ideal front 9 from Jakub, as he had too many of those bogeys to make a hot score. But there's a lot of scoring opportunities on the back 9. But wow, both Niklas and Mauri, incredible front 9s. Those are setting themselves up for some hot rounds. And Joey also unfortunately not able to catch a birdie on this front 9. But I'm sure he's gonna do that on the back as we take a look at the top 10 here. 3 players
exciting.
tied. Yeah, go ahead, Connor.
I was just reacting. I was saying, look at that. Tied 3 ways for first in the front 9. Albert Tam, Jonas Alto, Mauri, Villmann. You see Mauri's pace really matching the champions and leaders right now. Dennis Augustin matching Niklas with Tuomas Hutiainen, Vaino Mäkelä, Hugo Frödlund, Lauri Lehtinen, all of them at 5 under so far. Just a great tournament where we're having the best in the continent come to battle it out. Incredible. Thank you for joining us here today. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and you can check out the Patreon if you're feeling extra supportive. Elias, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Connor, and see you guys hopefully on the back 9 coming just in a moment.